So that's just to start off. So today we are showcasing Catarino. Catarino took a challenge from the Tech Club because, as you know, these two individuals right here, Christian and Catarino, are part of the Tech Club, along with who's taking video over there and the one in front of him guiding him, Christian, Adrian. So anyway, I'm going to allow Christian to introduce Catarino because they work very closely. They were working as a team, and I will talk to you all soon after. Got it? Yes. All ears, guys, right? All ears? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Ask tough questions. By the way, if you turn to the back, you'll see Mr. Alanis over there. Mr. Alanis is going to be the person questioning because it has to meet his standards. So, round of applause for Mr. Alanis. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to drop my right here.
Hello everyone, my name is Christian Garcia and my friend over here, Catarino, has made something mind-blowing. Hear what he has to say.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Catarino Cantu, and I will present to you my science project requested by Mr. Alanis. So, I decided to build something called a voltaic pile, and after doing some research, I gathered the needed supplies to make it, which was pennies, cardboard, white vinegar, aluminum foil, and a multimeter. First, I got 10 pennies that were made after 1982 because they had the most amount of zinc in them, which is one of the materials that I needed. So I sanded down one side of each penny and left the other side with the copper layer on and exposed the zinc on the other side. Then I traced out the pennies on a piece of cardboard and cut them out into pieces that were slightly bigger than the penny. Next, I got a small bowl and filled it with white vinegar and dropped the cardboard pieces in them to soak in the vinegar. So after that, I got a piece of aluminum foil and cut it into a rectangle and put it on any surface that you have. And I grabbed one of the pennies and put it on the edge of the tin foil with the zinc side facing up and the copper down, and grabbed one of the cardboard pieces and dried it out a little bit, put it on top of the penny, and then grabbed another penny, put it on top with the zinc side facing up, and then put another piece of cardboard. I stacked 5 pennies on top of I stacked 5 pennies on the piece of foil, and using the multimeter, I checked how many volts that the pennies were producing, and they were producing 1.32 volts. So I checked if I could try and light up a light bulb. So I hooked it up with some like small jumper cables and put it on the stack of pennies and put the negative on the tin foil, and it barely lit up, so I stacked up the other 5 pennies and got 6.49 volts. So I tried again, but it still barely lit up, but not as I was expecting, but that shows that it can actually produce electricity.
Interesting. We're gonna go ahead and show you a video of the process, guys. Can you go ahead? Lights, camera, action.
I'm telling you. Aaliyah, you're coming out.
I decided to build a voltaic pile. After researching, I gathered the needed supplies. I gathered pennies, cardboard, white vinegar, aluminum foil, and a multimeter. First, I got 10 pennies made after the year 1982 because they had the most amount of zinc in them, which was one of the things I needed. I sandpapered down one side of each penny to expose the zinc and left the other side with the copper layer. I then traced the pennies on cardboard and cut out slightly bigger pieces than a penny. Next, I got a small bowl and filled it halfway with white vinegar.
That's Mr. Alanis' supplies.
After that, I got my pieces of cardboard and put them to soak inside the vinegar. I got some aluminum foil, cut out a rectangular piece, I grabbed a penny, put it on the edge of the foil paper with the zinc side facing up. I then dried a piece of cardboard and placed it on top of the penny. I repeated this process until I had 5 pennies stacked. I checked the voltage of the stack by using a multimeter and I had 1.32 volts. I attempted to turn on the light, but it barely lit up. I then stacked the other 5 pennies and tried reading again. I now got 6.49 volts and it lit up a bit brighter, but not what I was expecting. But that shows that it can make electricity.
Great job. Mr. Alanis, you want to take it?
What was the purpose of this?
Question is, what was the
What was
purpose
the
of
purpose
this?
of it?
Here, sir.
And I want everybody to listen. What was the purpose? I think they can. What is the purpose?
To make electricity, to have a battery in an emergency.
So you were trying to do a what?
Battery.
Battery. Okay, remember the process skills. We always start with the purposes. That's why I'm asking that question. Okay, so his purpose was to make a battery. Now, did you, before you got started, did you kind of have an idea of how many volts was your battery gonna produce? But did you make a hypothesis, mister? An intelligent guess? Choose one. Are you sure? Were you right or wrong? How many did you say was gonna? How many volts was you gonna produce when? Let's say you started with the first with the first penny.
First one, it was probably like.
You didn't do my hypothesis.
Yes, he did.
Are you sure?
Nervous, because first he was proven wrong, right? Because you only use his how many? And that proved that what you assumed was not gonna work. So that's what he's basically asking.
Now, does it matter if you got it wrong? It's my hypothesis.
No.
No, because it's a what? What is the word? Intelligent, yes, based on what he knows. Now, the next question that I got for this guy.
For 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes.
That means if I get anything, any metal, can I make electricity with it?
Yes. No.
Huh? Why? I want to know why he didn't make electricity. We covered it in class.
The beginning of the year.
We covered it in class, guys. I want to hear it. Why did it produce electricity? His project was able to produce electricity. Why? Okay, I love what he said, guys. Do you all agree with this guy?
Yes.
He said it was a chemical reaction. Remember, guys, I gave you 4 or 5 things that are chemical reactions. I can give you real quick the ones that work. It produces light. Okay. Another one, it produces heat. Okay, thermal, right? Okay. In this case, it produced electricity. Okay, so that was a chemical reaction. Let's go back, all of you, and think of your batteries, the ones you got in your remote. If you leave your batteries in your remote, what happens to them? If you leave them there too long, besides burn out, does something start coming out of them? That sometimes it messes up your remotes? Yes, it does, right? Okay. Now, I noticed that this guy also used vinegar. Why?
An accelerator.
Accelerator. Accelerator?
He's meaning that it accelerates.
I know, but we used, first of all, it's an acid, right? It's an acid. The batteries have alkalines, right? They have a solution, they call them alkaline. It's an acid base. So he was using that. Now, what metal did you use? Copper and zinc. Those 2 metals, what happens when you put them together? They produce what? They produce electricity. They go through a chemical reaction. Okay? Now, I loved it that he also said, I went with pennies that were from 1982. Remember, we even talked about those. Before that, she probably was buying a lot of pennies and melting them because they were made of copper, right? The copper was worth more than the penny itself.
We're fishing.
Right? That's why they decided, you know what? We need to get rid of the copper because it costs more than the penny. So they have zinc. Remember, I cut one in half during the year, and I showed it to you, and it was white in the inside. Okay, now zinc. Where else can we find zinc? Do you zinc? Now, do we only have? Can we only use pennies? Can we only use pennies? No. Zinc is all around us. Let's say you have a pipe that's kind of whitish color, so it won't get rusty. They're covered in zinc. So we could use any other thing. We could use a nail, those white nails, things like that, and then put it down. But it was a chemical reaction. We went through the whole process skills, right? Okay, and we know that vinegar, what he did with the alkaline, that was the one that was actually combining them and making it go through a chemical reaction. I'll tell you a story, and you know this boy, Miss. Okay. Yes. Miss Garza. One day, guys. When I was growing up, sir. Well, I used to have one. I really did. You can get them through Amazon. All of you, get them through Amazon. It was a clock. It had one little hole on one side and the other hole on the other side, and it was a potato. One wire had zinc and the other wire had copper. And what would you do? You would get a potato, and you would stick one side and the other side of the potato, and the whole day your clock would work. When the potato dried up, well, here we are. We would go back and put a new potato. Now, when I was also growing up, I don't know about her, but I had a cool watch. They have those black screens like the new Apple watches. On the little side, you would put a little piece of potato.
No, hang on. That's too old, guys. I'm younger.
We would put a potato.
I didn't know that.
And it would work the whole day. At the end of the day, the kids were choosing a little piece of potato. Okay? Now, I had a student, Mr. Jay. That boy, guys, let me tell you if it's going to work. You tell me if it's going to work. Jay came with some potatoes to cut instead of using the alkaline that you used. And this, he had a big light bulb, a 60-watt light bulb, and some potatoes. And he wanted to make enough electricity to light up. You think it was going to work? You think so? Huh? And what is enough?
Keep sticking them in there.
The guy needed to bring 1,000 pounds of potatoes to make his light bulb work? Well, I told the kid, Nito, take it home. It's not going to work. He wanted to get a big light bulb, 60 watts, with a potato, and he wanted to make it work. Is it going to work? Now, this guy, hey, here's what's producing how many volts of electricity. Do you think it's enough to light up one of these light bulbs? Right?
But he succeeded.
He succeeded.
He succeeded.
That's why I love the little light bulb that you use, mister. What do you use?
It was wise. If not, he would have.
What light bulb? Because it produces very small amounts, right?
Right.
Now, I love your light bulb. That's the first thing I noticed. You used the what? LED. Right? Light emitting diodes. And the reason we go with those, we're now using them because they use less power. And since you were producing a very small amount, okay, perfect. Now, what do you think, guys? Tell me, science is it cool? Science is cool, guys. This is something that you guys can go try. Okay? Mix copper, pennies. Mix zinc, which could be found in those pennies, or it can be found on your screws that your dad maybe uses for carpentry. Mix them together with that vinegar. That's going to be your solution, like what a battery has, and it will produce very tiny amounts of electricity. Now, I loved it that you were stacking them up, making little stacks. What happened is you added more layers to it. What happened? Did it produce more light? A little bit more, but was it producing more light? That's pretty cool too, right? So anyway, guys, so what do we say? I might. Oikas, I might. I'm still thinking.
Do I stop?
No, I don't think too hard.
Whatever it is that he's thinking, you think that he deserves it? You think Catarino deserves it?
Yes!
Yes, he does, guys. Yes, he does. Does anyone have any questions for Catarino? No one? No one interested in asking something in particular? Miss Garcia over there? Awesome. Mr. Martin Salinas, do you have any questions?
Let me just say one thing to Catarino.
Yes, sir.
I already told this to Catarino. When school started, this class will say this. When I saw Catarino, I said, and I told him already.
Oh.
I said, Catarino, when I looked at him, I said, if I don't know my stuff, this guy's going to take me for a ride.
Yes. Yeah.
Did I say that?
You said it. You said it.
So did you take him for a ride, Catarino? Did you take Mr. Alanis for
Did
a
I
ride?
ask him that? Did I? To your standard, your teacher.
Awesome.
Because
All
I
right.
said they're not going to leave us school talking bad about school, right?
That's right, sir. Nobody leaves here talking bad about
They're going to say
GRSC.
positive things of general sciences teachers. Ms. Garcia, Mr. Sainz, Ms. Perez, and myself.
Let's give him a round of applause, guys. All right. So you want to do your farewell?
Thank you everybody for coming, and goodbye.
Do I stop?